Do we have any citizen comments?
No citizen comments.
How many citizens?
Alright, let's move on to the approval of the October 12th minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for October 12th.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, moving on to the review of the bank statement and ledger. Everybody had a chance to look it over?
Make a motion to approve the bank statements and ledger.
And that's not action.
Oh, that's not an action item, okay,
Just
perfect.
a review, if you guys have any questions about anything that's on it.
We do this every time.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
did it last time.
I did it last night too.
Does everybody have a chance to look it over? Are there any questions or comments?
Looking good to me.
All right, let's move on to the invoices then. Northwest Media first.
Okay, so this is the one that you guys tabled last month and asked me to go back and figure out when you had paid it before. So I went back through all of the previous packets, statements, etc. You did approve to pay it in July, at the July 13th meeting. But previous to that, you had not ever paid for the coupons. There was one other invoice to Northwest Media for poster design, and that one was in June of 2001. And otherwise, going through all of the financials that we have record of, that was the only other time we paid an invoice to them.
And then my understanding of that is because we had voted to increase our contribution to some of the events that were being, the text messages were being used to notify people about. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That looked like the majority of the messages that went out were all events that we had approved. We're spending on, so I make a motion to, do we have to approve that one then?
Yes, yeah, you did not approve it last time, so in the packet, just for review's sake, is the previous invoice that I had found. This is the invoice that we're waiting to pay, the previous invoice we paid, and then Brenda sent over the number of messages that had been done for that quarter, and then what those messages were.
We didn't keep it with what we had decided, so I'll make a motion to approve the invoice for Northwest Media's coupons. Invoice?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's move on to the Pumpkin Palooza expenses.
So one thing I did want to note in the Pumpkin Palooza expenses is I surveyed during the event, surveyed the game sponsors. Part of their sponsorship includes the game, a table, 2 chairs, and then supplemental candy. In years past, they've pretty much brought their own candy and we've just given them maybe 2 or 3 bags. This year, nobody, I think maybe one booth brought candy for themselves. So BDL paid for the majority of that first round. I think it was 3 bags, and we had 17 games. And then, of course, by like 1:30ish, everyone was asking for refills. So this would be the additional cost outside of what BDL has already supplied for that event. I will note that next year, as part of their sponsorship, in the information when they're registering, it will be in bold red letters to please bring at least 2 to 4 bags of candy for your station. I think us supplying games every year, making sure all the pieces are put together, we set up their stations, we give them a table and 2 chairs, they can set up their own informational booth. I think that's well worth the $150 that they pay. I think should be okay with bringing a few bags of candy to supplement for the entirety of the event.
Any more comments or questions? Can I get a motion?
That we pay the expenses for Pumpkin Palooza.
I second
Can I get a first and a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving on to the Plaid Friday expenses.
So this would just be for the posters that went out to advertise the event so far. We have not received, excuse me, the invoice for the rest of the marketing, which would include the Tribune, Inland 360, Moscow Pullman Daily News, and then the radio ads.
The posters for Black Friday.
One second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, town hall meeting expenses.
So as I'm sure you guys know, we had 0 attendance for the town hall meeting. This is the cost for the advertising for the actual meeting itself. I did not include the cost of the coffee, donuts, all of that. I ended up just taking them to other businesses as a thank you for being a partner, so they didn't go to waste. So that doesn't need to be paid by the BID.
Well, I do have a question. The place was locked, no lights. So even if we did have people, they would have been waiting like the rest of us.
She had the key.
So I
Yeah,
don't
the key to-
It
understand.
was supposed to be open lights on, that's what we paid for.
I thought you had the key.
So anyway, I mean, if we would have had people, they would have been standing around like us going, what's going on?
So in that case, we really shouldn't pay that bill if there is one.
No,
Charge us.
Brandon doesn't charge
Perfect.
us.
Perfect, 'cause it's
Yeah.
nonprofit,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay,
And I did have a discussion with him after knowing that lights and everything weren't ready to go.
yeah, yeah,
So that's part of our
because we totally
rental.
thought you had it, yeah. All right, can I get a motion on the town hall meeting expenses?
The town hall meeting.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Where do you want to hold it next year?
Jeez.
I bet if you had any groundworks, you'd have a full house.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
That might be a good idea. Okay, so, I think I was at all in favor. And any opposed? All right, motion passes. Let's move on to the art walk, or the downtown tailgate. No, art walk, yeah,
Yep.
you're right, okay, I remember.
So this is the remaining expenses from Art Walk for advertising in Tribune, Inland 360, Daily News, and the A-frame posters that we use to mark each location, and then the maps that were given out to each location, listing everyone that participated.
And the amount that we had pre-approved
Correct.
for the expenses that we had. Could you make a motion to approve the final expenses for Art Walk?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? right, how about downtown tailgate?
So the invoice that came for Art Walk also included the tailgate, the remainder of those ads, which wasn't included in last month's meeting. So that is just that $675 for downtown tailgate, and that'll close that out.
Move the final downtown tailgate expenses.
I second.
Any discussion?
Did we kind of say last meeting that we weren't gonna do tailgating next year?
Correct.
Because it wasn't, okay.
Yeah, yeah, it has been removed. We did, well, we can have discussion on events later.
Yeah.
But yes, it was removed.
Okay.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to personal gauge.
So Presnell Gage, this is for the financial review. It was paid directly out of the BID account, so this is just a review of that check.
So a motion would only be for acknowledgement of it, is that all we would do? Or it's just information?
Let's
I
approve it.
don't know if we need to approve it, because we talked about it in last meeting with the administrative agreement between city and BDL as the administrator on what this cost would be. It didn't list out a dollar amount necessarily, but this is the same, if I remember correctly, this is the same amount as what we were charged last year for.
The only place it's gonna show up is in the agenda if we don't do something with it, acknowledge it or approve it or.
Yeah, I say we
We
do
listed
something.
it as an action item, so I would
Yeah.
say it'd be appropriate for you guys to approve it.
I move that we approve the expenditure that has taken place for audit, I assume, right? Audit, financial review.
Independent financial review, yep.
A second?
Any discussion?
Is that an annual expense? Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, BDL staff hours.
Approve the BDL staff and volunteer hours.
A second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thanks you guys. Board member comments?
Just any follow-up, do we have any follow-up really on the town hall meeting? It just was a frozen event, so is it one of those that we don't do in the future, or?
That would be up to the board. I think we've given ample opportunity for ratepayers to attend in person, to email, to write back. We've sent out surveys they can do online anonymously or not. And the participation is pretty low.
I've been thinking about this. I wonder, in modern times, if we don't do something that is, okay, yes, come live if you'd like to, but we do it on Zoom, and it's recorded, and then the rest of the ratepayers can see it, can send it out in a newsletter or something, and it's like an update, but
If we did it on, if we were to do it on Zoom, would we give some sort of a overview, or what would we do? Just stand there and say, here we are, or?
yeah, well, just like what we do, we talk about the things we've done and, you know, where we're going, ask for those comments, which can be done by email or whatever, just a thought, getting a little more modern, and it might be that these people would want to do it from their home or from their work, because they can't leave or something, you know, but maybe they can participate electronically.
Yeah, how do you get participation? It's just not,
Yeah, it's not getting us anywhere to,
but I think it does state in the documents that we are required to have quarterly meetings.
That's you guys are
The
required,
board.
Oh,
But
we are
not for the
required.
rest.
Oh,
You guys are required to
So the
meet
town
at least
hall
quarterly.
is not required. Okay.
you don't have to do anything for the,
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I mean,
Was,
they're
no.
able and
Yeah.
to attend
fine.
these meetings. I mean, these are live streamed, these are recorded, they can go revisit them on the YouTube
Yeah.
channel, on the city website.
The town hall meetings were just an extra way if they can't access this or can't find it. This was just an
way
extra
to
way for them to participate and either be in person if they didn't feel comfortable just writing something in and not knowing where it went or, whatnot, so.
And I think the town hall actually wasn't a town hall in its original form. One of the items that was called out in the original work plan was to hold some sort of forum that allowed ratepayers and just people in general from the downtown area, the ability to access the board, city staff, and I'm not really sure who else, to ask questions about just development, requirements and other things like that. And I think from there, it's kind of morphed into the idea of a town hall to share what the board has been doing, where the monies are going, what projects are happening, that kind of stuff. But it's not a requirement from the ordinance, the resolution, or any of our agreements.
But don't care enough, so
Right.
why are we wasting our time?
For sake of time, I think let's all think on this, and I think we should continue to try, but how can we do it better or different to get participation? Does that sound
BID
fair?
social?
Yeah.
I mean,
Which we could even, I don't know how it works for the city, but maybe we can do something through here and people, if they do wanna participate, there's a place, but there's no cost that way. And then just getting, because we do have cameras and everything set up here, we might be
And
able
we
to
can
do that.
definitely, I can speak to IT about how we could do like a larger scale Zoom meeting. I'm sure that there is a way to do that and have it like from this room and, you know,
And then if
recorded
it's
and all that kind of
recorded
stuff.
and right
Yeah.
on that site, yeah.
My only thought with that is, you know, in the past, we've done, I don't know that we have emails for all the ratepayers. So
They might
that would
start
be-
getting them to us if they wanna.
That would be something we would have to figure out, and I don't know that that's insurmountable, it's just something that would have to be thought about.
Well, we wouldn't necessarily have to have emails, cause if you got it out by mail or or a text, a quick Cupid's text or something to let them know.
sorry.
I mean, that you wouldn't have to have an email to access the,
So you can
I
register.
have about 8 ratepayers on the coupons, so that doesn't really.
oh, well, and I just was,
Yeah.
whatever,
Oh.
however we do it, there's other ways
Yeah,
than email.
and I have some emails, in the save the dates on the email or the ratepayers I didn't have an email for, I did put an insert that just said, please email my email with your, you know, just yes or no if you're gonna be attending, and I got 0 response from that as well.
So if the board wanted to think on it for something at the beginning of next year, and we had a decision by like the December meeting, we could probably have some sort of like Zoom link, QR code, something, I could get something figured out with IT that could go into the invoice that goes out in January.
Be
Perfect, that's what we need to
fantastic.
do, yeah,
Okay.
that's a great idea. Cause I gotta look at that, right, so,
Yeah, so that might be the way to do it,
yeah,
so,
we could even do a QR code to it or something.
yeah, I'll talk to IT and figure out how that looks for a Zoom, cause I'm not smart like that, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, the nice thing too, is if you use a QR code, is you can track how many people engaged with it, so, you know, there's analytics that you can tie to it to measure, you know.
how many participate versus how many looked at
Yeah,
the
I
option?
mean,
Like opened it
Yeah.
even.
exactly. How
Good
many
idea.
use it,
Yeah.
yep.
When do those invoices go out, Katie?
It's the beginning of January. I know that I got the dates from finance a couple months ago, but I don't remember what the exact date is, but I believe it's like the middle of January they get generated because
Add this
they
to
have to wait for
December.
certain
Yeah, so-
information.
So if I send out maybe, just like keep in mind, we will have another one, maybe not a save the date because we won't have a date and time necessarily in December, mid-December, just to kind of,
Well, and so if the board kind of thinks on it and thinks about how that might work, I can get the logistics of it figured out. We can make a decision at the December meeting. You can send something out after that, with picking a date and a time, et cetera. And then that can go into those mailings in January. So maybe we do it the beginning of February.
Okay,
I like that.
okay.
You know, do it, you don't wanna do it like too close to, Martin Luther King, 'cause people will be off. I know the week after that, Lewiston schools are out for a couple of days. And then ditto, you have that long weekend, and Lewiston schools again have like tacked on a day somewhere, around, President's Day. I think they get the Friday before, the Tuesday after. There's some extra day in there so they can do, teacher, improvement, whatever. So if we did it somewhere in between there, that might be a good time, like that first week of February.
So we'll have it on the agenda for December and make all the dates and everything come together, if you find out like you can do it.
I will work it out with them and figure out what all we would need to do. Cause I know it'll require a little more, monitoring, cause we'll have to set it up where like there's a waiting room and letting people in and all that kind of stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's all doable.
I had one other question. Brenda, in this process of the holidays coming up, and we have a number of businesses who are members outside the Main Street corridor, do we do any kind of advertising that says we're Main Street too, we're downtown too, we have cars for sale, we have restaurants open, we have, you know, we're all part of of improving downtown Lewiston. Do we do any kind of advertising or promotion for things that people don't, beyond what people see in the downtown corridor? Is there anything that we could do that would be fun and interesting for creating some activity or at least some visibility to know that, you know, other people have partnered and paid money and are participating in improvement of Lewiston, period. It just seems to me like that's one of those areas I'm nervous that it's not easy, and it's one of those, I think, I'd love to see us come up with some inventive ideas.
I have reached out to the businesses that are outside of the downtown district, and they are like the credit unions, Tri-State, St. Joe's, some of those, and their feedback is, we have our own marketing. As long as you list us in your newsletters, we're good to go. So,
They're good with the listing.
yeah.
Like me, I
So
look at it as, well, those downtown things, people are driving by me to get there from
Yeah.
there, and, you know, I
Yeah.
get the exposure anyway, so. I don't have a product, you know,
Right.
type of thing.
When it's non-retail, it's a little bit more
We
difficult
don't
to
have a
advertise
window,
it.
we don't have a window sticker or anything that says we're a member, right, of BDL?
We, so I think with the rebranding for BDL, we were trying to figure out, do we do stickers, do we do window clings? What is gonna work best for visibility? Yes, I'm a BDL partner, or I support downtown, or whatever that might look like, without recreating that non-inclusive feel. So some of the feedback that I have, there's still a few businesses that have the really old, clear stickers with the old BDL logo. And just in talking to some of those folks, they were like, well, you know, we saw everybody else with a sticker, and so we had to figure out a way to budget to become a partner because we felt left out. Even though they were still participating in events and other BDL items, that was kind of a topic of, say contention, but just that non-inclusive, it doesn't matter if you're not a partner, we're still gonna support you. So we're trying to figure out a balance on both sides of that.
Do you have any shopping contests coming up? Like where you go and you check in and whatever?
So we've tried that with different events like Ladies' Day, Crazy Days, Plaid Friday,
Just
Small
thinking
Business
if you do-
Saturday.
If
There's
you do
just,
something like that, if we could add those outlying ones and say, you know, if you get 5 of these, you get an extra something, or,
Yeah.
you know, just stopping in to get the signature.
yeah, so part of that is the time that we're doing the event, they're not open,
So
so,
maybe it could be a different type, building on what he's thinking,
yeah.
just thinking out loud.
I'm just wanting us to give as much visibility as we possibly can. You know, we don't put benches in front of many of those businesses. We don't do some of those other physical things. What are the kinds of things that we could do that would be supportive of drawing business to, or just giving recognition for the fact that they paid a heck of a lot of dollars and they are really good partners in developing downtown?
Sounds like they're gonna start with the flower deals going down Main. That here.
And I do have a list of probably another 20 businesses that are willing to adopt their planters, at least 2 of them, so that's
Maybe we could start
something
getting
I'm trying to
areas to look
put
to see.
together. Yeah, so just to try to tie it into what you know, the downtown proper is versus the outlining district. And again, with like our partners that aren't necessarily in the district, as long as we're highlighting their logo on our webpage and putting them in the newsletter every time and making sure we have a banner for them at events, that seems to be enough for the bigger that are partners, so. Another thing that we do is every once in a while we'll go get, you know, a tray from Rosars or a bakery, local bakery, and take it to some of those businesses just as a thank you for being a partner, for participating for the year. Sometimes we do it randomly in the middle of the year, just so that they know that, you know, we do appreciate, even though they're not in the district necessarily, that we do appreciate their
I
support.
appreciate it a lot.
Yeah.
Any other board member comments? Hey, wait, is Katie's thunder there? I'm sure she was gonna talk about those things. All right, let's move on to the staff liaison comments.
Okay,
I'm just
so
looking at,
like normal, we have board members to attend December 14th meetings. Anybody unable to attend? Here. Paper. The other things I had, so I did speak to Parks and Rec about the planters and the benches. Tim Barker, who's the director, was coming up with a winter schedule for his guys once the irrigation was cut off to all of them. So he's supposed to get that to me. He thought irrigation shut off would be done. He thought it would be done by this meeting. So I'm gonna touch base with him and get that schedule of when they're gonna be able to do that. He did ask that if it was possible, because we had discussed possibly getting a contractor. He said the removal of the existing ones is really, really time intensive, just because they don't have the proper equipment to like pull it all out, so they kind of have to do it by hand, so it takes hours and hours. So I'm gonna reach out to some landscaping companies and see if we can get assistance with actually removing all the dirt and stuff so that the whole planter can be picked up and taken away. And then Brenda, you had mentioned that you had a map.
Yes.
So if you can get me that copy of the map,
I'll probably just have to bring it to you.
That works.
Because it's too big to send.
Okay.
And it won't let me link it, so
super.
I'll just bring you a copy. Yeah.
That works just fine. So hopefully we'll be able to get planters and dirt put out. I don't really see a reason to put water in those bad boys when it's getting cold, because then it's just gonna freeze, and there won't be a plant in there anyways. But if we at least can get the planter and the dirt out to all their locations, then Brenda can schedule with the SEL volunteer group that wanted to help with the plantings, and that can happen in the spring. So there's that. Same thing goes for trash receptacles and the benches. I think there's only 4 benches that need to go out, so Tim was hopeful.
There's 3 that are just being replaced, and then there's
And
1
one new
that's
one.
being installed.
So Tim was hopeful that those things would also be easy for him to accomplish with his team now that they're kind of at the end of doing lawn, right of way, all the cleanup, all the stuff that they do, mowing, all that stuff. Shutting water off, things of that nature. So I will check back in with him. I'm waiting for the lighting. I spoke with our city electrician. They also have a couple of electrical contractors that they work with, so we're trying to get that figured out, for when, lighting can be replaced with, the new LEDs. And then hopefully that'll put us in a good place where we can then evaluate where we would like to see additional lighting. That was something you guys had talked about for next year's plan. And so we can talk about like parking lot lighting, we can talk about, are there holes, stuff like that, and then hopefully we can get that accomplished next year. I think that's all. I might have more, but we're right.
And I apologize, it was your thunder he stole. BID administrator comments.
The only thing I have is to kind of go back on your comment for downtown tailgate, that is being removed going forward. And in talking with some of the businesses, again, just surveying, making sure that everyone is still okay with no events during the holiday season. Turns out they want to bring Santa back. So we are doing Cookies with Santa for the first Friday every year at Revive, which is right on the corner where Brackenberry is. We will have Rightingers set up photos for purchase with Santa. We have cookies provided by Skalicki's. They're doing the gluten-free versions, and then Bee's Bakery is providing cakesicles. And Happy Day is providing coffee and hot cocoa, and we'll have pop-ups set up with heaters for people to wait in line to get doing those pictures. So that will be something that we are adding to First Friday, as well as trying to bring more people downtown during the holidays.
So just December first Friday?
December first Friday annually will kind of
That
replace,
will be on the first, right?
yes, so it's on the first, and then next year it's on the third.
I did have one other thing that I just remembered. Told you. I'll do that
Secrets.
tomorrow. So on Monday the 13th, which is this coming Monday at City Council will be reviewing your draft work plan, and that got sent to them. And so hopefully they approve it, and we are ready to roll.
Awesome. Any more comments?
That is it.
Did
Well,
we get a copy
we-
of the draft work plan? I mean, I know we all talked about it last.
I can send it out.
Okay. Yeah. So I know what we're working on next year.
What we're committed to.
Yeah.
We did move the BDL office. I don't know if you guys are all aware of that. We are at 528 Main between Headmasters and Tapped. I encourage you guys to come stop by and take a look at the space. We are working on a business incubator or innovation hub on the front part of that building facing Main Street. So trying to build that and working with the city grant writer Melinda to hopefully get a grant to be able to buy some machinery for small business owners to be able to come in, use to create a product, and then eventually have a retail space there to sell it and see how their business would do. So the hope is that we can improve their revenue enough that they need their own space and be able to put them in a vacant space downtown or somewhere in the valley.
Is that an economic move?
Yes. It's been about 6 years in the making, so I'm really excited to finally see it. It still feels a little strange, just because it feels really empty right now. We haven't had cubicles in there for the office space in the back. I don't really know what to do with all the space. Cartwheels are fun in there, chair races, but primarily the focus is that business incubator in the front to try to get that up and going. Working with the port to be able to, for example, Infuse and Booze is one of our vendors right now, and they started at the port and now they need a retail space. Whereas some businesses might need the retail space to build that following, and then they'll need a warehouse space. So we're trying to work with them as well and hopefully be able to send them some businesses to be able to occupy that space, so.
You have a new baby?
Congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, that's the exciting part of the day.
Yeah, for sure.
And she's warm to hold, except she's so tiny.
Which is good when you have no heat.
Yeah.
All right, if there's no other comments, I could take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I was like, somebody's gotta be settled. I'm gonna guess no discussion on that one.
You do need a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you, guys.